Hi guys, so the Chancellor of the Exchequer Rishi Sunak, who is a Brexiteer, of course he's not one of those who was for it because he hates foreigners, he's one of those disaster capitalist Brexit supporters. Well, he was forced to squirm during a session of the Treasury Committee, where he was challenged, and kudos to Mel Stry, a Tory, for holding the Chancellor's feet to the fire over this. But the disaster that is Brexit was almost impossible for Sunak to hide. He tried, but he failed. Have a listen to this.
Thank you, Kevin. Chancellor, can I come back to one of your answers there on Brexit and trade? And I think you were basically saying that it's difficult to disentangle the various effects that are going on from the pandemic and Brexit, etc. And I guess that's true to a degree. However, and Dan might be able to find this chart for us, which is, I think, on page 64, chart I, which shows that how trade intensity of GDP for ourselves and our European trading partners and the euro area, etc., and advanced economies has changed during the period from when the pandemic stroke Brexit struck and what's happened in more recent times. And what it shows is that we've gone down, there's been, as the OBR predicted, a slump in the level of our trade with the EU. And yet the other countries have now come back up quite strongly, but we've stayed down. Doesn't that tell you that the main distinction between ourselves and them is that we went through Brexit and they didn't?
That's a perfect point. Perfect. So the European Union countries, the Eurozone and other countries have seen a recovery, or are seeing a recovery at the moment following the pandemic. So most countries in the world suffered during the pandemic, Britain included. And then what happened was, after the pandemic, or as things got better, those economies, not including Great Britain, started to recover. Great Britain did not. And why did those countries get better? Well, because they didn't impose sanctions on themselves.
It might well be. I'm just saying it's too early to be definitive about it.
What else might it be?
I mean, I haven't got all the numbers in front of me, but when I was looking at this a couple of weeks ago, there's quite. If you look at UK, EU, and UK rest of world imports and exports, there are a range of different things moving on, and they're not actually all consistent with themselves. So.
What the heck is he talking about here? Does he actually know what he's talking about? Look, the non-UK countries saw a recovery. The UK did not. Now, you used to be blaming everything on the pandemic. Now you can't blame the pandemic anymore. And you're trying to say, well, we need to look at the data. We're not sure yet. The OBR said that things would get worse. Things have gotten worse. And now you're still trying to find some other excuse.
So I think we're still trying to work through what all the impacts are. As I said, it was always inevitable that there would be a change in our trade intensity,
quite a significant
with Europe, as a result of the change in the trading relationship.
Notice he didn't answer that. He didn't respond to quite a significant change. He heard it, but he ignored it because he didn't want to acknowledge it. Of course he understands it's true. Yes, a significant change. But if he said, yes, there has been a significant change, then he'd have to explain why. But Rishi Sunak, the sly politician, avoided that.
Relationship. I mean that was expected and unsurprising when you change a trading relationship with the EU. And in general, I think trade intensity is falling.
Are you concerned that we're becoming more of a closed economy now post-Brexit?
Not as a result of Brexit. I don't think that's the case. And in fact, actually, the work that the Trade Secretary is doing is making us much more open to.
Okay, he's just contradicted himself. So the question was, do you think we're becoming a more closed economy because of Brexit? And he said, not because of Brexit. So he means, yes, we're becoming a more closed economy. And then in the next breath, he said, but we're a more open economy because of trade deals. Well, which is it, Rishi Sunak? You're either a closed economy or you're a more open economy. I don't think he was very prepared for this select committee.
So why have we got the significant reduction in trade intensity that stayed low, whereas others have come back?
Yeah, as I said, without a doubt, we're changing our trading relationship with the EU, and that means a different set of controls and things that people will have to do, and that will.
Yeah, we've imposed sanctions on ourselves. Other countries have not imposed sanctions on themselves. Other countries, like us, went through the pandemic. They suffered the consequences of that. But we, as a unique country, probably the only country in the world, probably the only, there may be one I'm missing here, but we imposed sanctions on ourselves. And now that, we have come out of the pandemic and other countries have come out of the pandemic, we're starting to realize, look, we have these sanctions imposed upon ourselves and they're damaging our economy. Now, Rishi Sunak could come out and be honest and say, yes, it's a cause of Brexit. It's the result of Brexit. But he won't say that because he's a Brexiteer.
Will obviously have an impact, and that I'm sure is a big part of the reason why this is happening. I think it may be just a bit early to be definitive about which bits are doing what.
How long do we have to wait? Is it 50 years, like Jacob Rees-Mogg said? Is it 5 years, 10 years, 100 years? When are you actually going to turn around and say, actually, yes, it was the result of Brexit? Well, he won't, because he's a Brexiteer. He's an ideologue. He doesn't care about the economy. He's the wrong person to be in the job. Like, he's not willing to acknowledge that Brexit is damaging the economy. That's a fact, okay? Unless you disagree with the OBR. If you have better data than the OBR, then present it. The OBR have said that that Brexit is going to do twice as much damage than the pandemic. And the pandemic is temporary. As we've said, as they said in this select committee, in this Treasury Committee, I should say, the chair has said that other countries are improving at the moment. The UK's economy is not. Once again, because it imposed sanctions upon itself.
In general, though, the approach is to be very much more open to the world on trade, and
that's the aspiration. But the reality,
you trade mostly with your neighbours. Australia trades mostly with other countries in Asia. The United States trades mostly with Mexico, with Canada. Europe trades mostly with its neighbours. The UK as well. So if you put up barriers, of course you're going to see the consequences of that. Of course you're going to see your economy shrink.
reality appears not to
yes,
be
because the benefit
direction.
of new trading relationships takes time. They don't happen all overnight. So I think that's...
Sorry, I'm not sure if it was Rishi Sunak, but other Brexiteers were saying, as soon as we leave, we're going to see the benefits of Brexit. Even this year, a new minister was appointed, Jacob Rees-Mogg, the Brexit Opportunities Minister, and he's yet to come up with a Brexit opportunity. Like, you can't be telling people for years, as soon as we vote to leave, we're going to see the benefits. As soon as we leave the European Union, we're going to see all these countries and companies queuing up to do trade deals with us. As soon as we leave, the economy is going to surge. You can't tell people these things. Or if you do, you have to turn around and say, I'm sorry, we were wrong. Or you resign over this. But instead, what's happened is the people who lied, the people who didn't have a clue of what they were talking about, have been promoted to the highest positions in the land. Rishi Sunak will continue to defend Brexit. He will never say it was the fault of Brexit, or if it was, well, it's a consequence, it's something we have to live with. But he never criticized Brexit. Never. Because he would be admitting that he was wrong, and he can't do that. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think about all of this. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot.